So there's a lot of stuff that we can do here. I'm pretty excited to be able to work with producers for a long haul for several years and see what we can come up with, because we, at the end of this whole, program, we're going to have a lot of good data and we're going to have a lot of good feedback, because our producers are going to tell us what works and what doesn't work.
In this episode of Voices from the Field, NCAT Sustainable Agriculture Specialist Tyler Jenkins introduces a new NCAT staff member, Tammy Barnes. Tammy, who's also a Sustainable Agriculture Specialist, will be working out of Kentucky and focusing on carbon planning. In her discussion with Tyler, Tammy shares her wealth of experience and the insights garnered from an extensive career dedicated to sustainable agriculture. That experience includes equestrian and other livestock management, holistic farm management, and cropping systems management. She also shares a story of her sustainable agriculture career and long history of farmer support and advocacy. She details the path that led her to NCAT, as well as her goals now that she's on the team. Let's listen.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Tyler Jenkins with the National Center for Appropriate Technology, and today I want to introduce you to our newest staff member, Tammy Barnes. Hi, Tammy. Welcome to NCAT.
Well, thanks, Tyler. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. And you'll be working with us out of our Berea, Kentucky office. Is that right?
That is correct.
Let's get right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your work history, what you've done in the past, and what brings you to NCAT?
Okay. So I have a varied work history. So growing up as a kid, I was horse crazy. So basically, I wound up getting an animal science degree from Rutgers University and proceeded to escape New Jersey as fast as I can. Got married and left. So wound up in central Kentucky, actually in Frankfort, and wound up working on some horse farms, managing some university farms, Midway University, University of Kentucky Research Farm. Got my master's in animal nutrition from University of Kentucky. Hey. And so that kind of led me to, that it helped me explore a lot of different avenues of agriculture, but still very much horse heavy. So I had an opportunity to run my own business after I had my daughter. So I left the University of Kentucky after 5 years of doing research and being the research specialist for a nutritional kind of research facility, and raised thoroughbreds on my own out in central Kentucky, actually in Versailles, Kentucky. So great experience, because then you're responsible for it all. I had lots of clients that ranged from ladies that just wanted to have their mares foaled out to clients from the Philippines and across the United States. But it was definitely a mom and pop operation. And all those things that all other animal producers have to deal with, I had to deal with as well. So it's pasture management and environmental factors and cost of feed and animal care and husbandry. So after almost 20 years of being on my own, there was a point in time when I had to make a decision about health insurance. So I wound up going back to the university, working as a lab tech and farming on the side. Double duty. It was all good. While I was there, the handwriting was on the wall, and animal husbandry is pretty hard on your body, and I needed to find a different avenue. So I went and got a master's degree, or a graduate certificate in stream and watershed science, which opened up a whole brand new way of thinking. So think about water quality, how agriculture affects that, the importance of it, and the double duty that conservation efforts can. It improves profitability in the farm improves water quality. It's a win-win. It's a sustainable kind of thing. So did that as an extension agent for several years at University of Kentucky after I shut down the farm, jumped ship from the lab tech, and wound up having my funding cut. And then was scrambling for a new job, which took me out to the frontier of Eastern Oregon, where I learned about rangeland science and how they graze and impacts of climate and things with sustainability and balancing habitats for wildlife and working ranch lands. These are great things to learn. Came away with a thankful and grateful heart from Oregon to circle back around to where my heart is in Kentucky. And that's how I come to NCAT.
Great. Thanks for tying that together. Such an interesting story. I really get the sense of the journey, that you've been on when you say that. And so tie the undercurrent for you together for us. You just touched on it towards the end, kind of where your heart is. What is the underlying purpose behind your work, and how do you hope to express that at NCAT?
Well, so there's always been a water element in my life, growing up on the Jersey Shore, seeing the impacts of excessive nutrients and whatnot in the water and how that impacts people. Impacted my grandfather. They shut down the oyster industry in South Jersey. So that's always been a kind of underlying current. And you have, mind you, fishermen are just come from the same stock as farmers. So, they're dealing with environmental issues and having to punt. And I feel that being of service to my producers in my area by helping them be able to punt and pivot in circumstances that sometimes is out of their control, by giving them tools in the tool bucket, is my purpose. And then I have a passion for agriculture because these are my people. This is my tribe.
Yeah. That's really wonderful to put it that way. It's great to locate oneself in a place you feel like you belong, and that seems to be what the sense of what you're saying. There's a lot of placidness, so it seems like you place yourself in it too.
Yes, this is where my heart is. So I kind of equate it, my journey from New Jersey to Kentucky to Oregon and full circle back again. It's like a river. So, and I do like to kayak. I kayaked and canoed since I was a kid. And it's something that I've always loved. So I see my journey out west as going up a tributary and kind of paddling against the stream. It's good. It's good to see new things, but at some point in time you know that it's time to turn around and just steer.
Tell us something strange about yourself. Tell us something strange, maybe not even about yourself, but something strange that tells us something about yourself.
So, prior to doing animal science, I was a fine art major.
That's not so strange.
Well,
it's unique. It's interesting.
It's different, yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. So I did do lots of large paintings and mostly of plants. So not so strange. Very strange. I do a lot of strange stuff sometimes, but I think I'm more of a homebody and just kind of like to get a little creative, and I like to play with colors. I also like to do pottery, which is fun too. I like to get dirty.
Learn how to harvest the sun twice with practical information at NCAT's AgriSolar Clearinghouse. Get access to more than 400 peer-reviewed articles, the latest in agri-solar news, and connect with farmers and solar developers who are working together to make the most out of our shared resources. We'll see you at agrisolarclearinghouse.org.
What's something uncommon that you're interested in?
Uncommon. Well, I love to go. I know nothing about geology.
Like the river rocks, kind of, and like streams
wherever I go, wherever I travel, I always bring back rocks.
That's really neat.
And not just like one or two rocks. It's usually like pocket full of rocks, because I can't decide which rock I like the best. And the best rocks that I've picked that were the most blingy were around Tucson, Arizona. Because the trail was filled with mica, and I called it the Sparkle Trail. And I had to laugh as coming down the trail because there was a little girl that had just as many rocks in her pocket as mine.
That's so cool. So what do you do with the rocks when you, I assume you bring them back home?
I do. And then I kind of look at them. The last really cool set I polished, but I usually separate them. And the most special rock that I ever have taken was from the Swiss Alps.
Tell us about that.
So my daughter was in the marching band, got invited to do what is called a music ambassador program, and basically toured around Europe for 2 weeks. So we got to hike part of the Matterhorn. So as we took a tram up to a certain level, and as we hiked down, there was this beautiful blue rock. I have no idea what it is, but I picked it up and it went in my pocket. I also got one from the Thames as well, because we were in London. So they're my special rocks. They're actually in my jewelry box. They're that special.
Okay. Changing gears a little bit. Tell us about a book, a movie, maybe a piece of art, something that reflects your ethos around agriculture, or I guess around the world and how it works, or something that really speaks to that kind of purpose you talked about earlier.
Okay. So I'm a visual person, so part of me likes Matisse. So there's simple and bold colors, and we can get simple and bold colors in agriculture. I also like Georgia O'Keeffe because she's very, that desert, very stark. She found her place in a very stark place and found beauty. I mean, I think part of the agriculture and the painting of the picture in this day and age where people are so far removed from agriculture that we need to be able to paint those vivid pictures of what agriculture can do and has done for society, and that we need to support it in all the ways that we can. So part of supporting that is giving, producers tools or ideas, or helping them realize their ideas. Farmers are great people that are wonderful problem solvers. Sometimes they just need a little help putting the pins in or putting it together. So that's kind of where my purpose lies.
I hear a lot of hope under what you just said.
I have to live on hope. Because if you think the other way, life is really hard. Hope is good. Faith is good. Appreciation and gratitude for what you see is great. These are things that are, worth striving for. And agriculture gives people opportunity to feel all those things. To be grounded, to be one with nature, because once you hit that concrete pad, it's just not the same. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to school in Rutgers University. That urban jungle is so much different than, the vast wilderness and the scariness of that as well. Whole different feeling.
So why don't you talk about the kind of projects and programs that you're going to be working on at NCAT?
Okay, well, can't go into specifics right now because this is the third day on the job. So you never know exactly what you're getting into. However, while I worked at the University of Kentucky, I did conservation plans for our producers in this area, nutrient management planning. Many elements of this position in the job description, I feel that are going to be very similar because all, putting carbon in the ground, carbon farming, riparian areas are all about water quality as well and conservation. So we're going to get many layers of best management practices on top of some of the good practices that our producers are doing already. And we're going to give them a little cash to help them make that decision, which is better because in other carbon markets, this is kind of like we're going to let them put the toe in the water with carbon and carbon's, building within that soil, but they're not committed for 20 years, which scares a lot of farmers off of some of these practices. In reality, it really is, for the most part, if we were having animal or livestock systems, it's going to be good grazing practices. If we're doing crops, we're going to do some things like, cover crops, multiple cover crops, rotations that incorporate a lot of legumes with deep roots into it. Agroforestry, lots of opportunity there. Different species grazing. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do here. I'm pretty excited to be able to work with producers for a long haul for several years and see what we can come up with, because we, at the end of this whole, program, we're going to have a lot of good data and we're going to have a lot of good feedback, because our producers are going to tell us what works and what doesn't work.
That's right. Yeah, that's a great project. You're talking about the Building Soil, Building Equity project. Folks can find out about that on the Accelerating Appalachia website, acceleratingappalachia.org. If you had a passion project that you would want to work on at NCAT, what would that be?
Soils for Water. I love that program, and this is something prior to even thinking about coming to work for NCAT, that in my extension position in Lake County, Oregon, I pushed my producers to actually sit on that, the webinar and get them to thinking about it. Pushed and pushed and pushed. I had a couple producers, they kind of dabbled into it. Still weren't quite the adopters that I was hoping for, but that's okay. I was planting seeds. I love that program. I want to work on that program.
Fantastic. There's a lot of great folks here on that program, and I know they'll be happy to hear that you want to contribute. Well, Tammy, if a producer wanted to reach out to you, what should they reach out to you about? You've spoken to a variety of experience, from almost sort of a holistic kind of preventative approach towards future issues and sort of getting on top of things before things change in agriculture. There's a lot of innovation and a lot of just sort of roundedness, I guess, in your experience. So what should producers reach out to you about specifically?
Okay, so here's something odd, maybe. I love manure management. So you can reach out to me about soil health and manure management, applications, storage, water quality, some rotational crops, animal nutrition. And if I don't know it, I will tell you I don't know it, and I will find somebody that does know it. So more than happy. That is, part of this position here is outreach and education. And I've been in education and outreach for a long time, so it's kind of in my DNA. So you can reach me at tammyb@ncat.org, or you can text me on my cell phone, which is 859-221-1940, and I'll give you a shout back and we'll have a conversation.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks, Tammy, for being on with us today.
Well, thank you, Tyler. It's fun. I'm looking forward to working with you. It's going to be good.
Same. It's been a great 3 days so far, and I see a lot of fun and good trouble we can get into.
Yes, we can get in good trouble.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Additional information about this episode and related resources can be found at attra.ncat.org. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to Voices from the Field wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Rich Myers. ATTRA, Voices from the Field, is produced by the National Center for Appropriate Technology, headquartered in Butte, Montana. It's supported by the USDA Rural Business Cooperative Service as part of NCAT's ATTRA Sustainable Agriculture program. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this recording are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the USDA or NCAT. We'll catch you again next week, and until then, keep on farming.